to the United stand. Manchester United 3, Leicester 0. The perfect send-off for Ruud van Nistelrooy as his interim stint comes to an end and he signs it off with a clean sheet, with 3 goals and with a win. Highest win rate in Manchester United manager history for Ruud van Nistelrooy. What a way to sign off. And I am joined with Tul, Kev and Mordzs. Just checking who's actually with me there. I don't know why I couldn't remember. But 3 points going into the international break. A very well needed 3 points. Very well needed for Ruben Amorim. Tul, I'll start with you. Sum up the game. Happy with that? And are you a little bit sad to see Ruud depart and go back into the background, or maybe even leave?
It feels like he's going to leave. So what, like the last couple of days from what's been coming out, it looks like he's probably going to move on. I did say though, I stayed around for a little minute at the end when he was, clapping at the Stretford end, and I said he'll be back one day. Maybe if it's in 10 years' time or whatever, I don't know when, but I imagine Ruud will be back one day. In terms of the game, it was just nice to see some goals. It was nice to see some goals. I said to my mate who was sitting with, I said, that's 5 goals we've seen at Old Trafford in the last 3 days. I said, it's fucking Christmas time, isn't it? Mate?
You're really spoiling us.
Do you know what I mean, mate? Finally some goals. I actually predicted. I was a bit of a Debbie Downer this morning. I actually predicted 1-1. I actually thought because
that's what the season's done. 1-1.
Because I thought we've scored 4 goals at Old Trafford all season, and I looked at Leicester's away record, and they actually were scoring quite a few goals away from home, and I thought, 1-1 maybe, but they proved me wrong, which I'm happy about.
Kev, in my opinion, perfectly managed by Ruud. Good subs, managed the game really well. Obviously, clean sheet. What more can you ask for? I mean, the defence. We were talking about it on the countdown to kick-off, me and Mordzs. It's done really well for Manchester United in recent times, hasn't it? And is that a positive that Ruben Amorim can take as well?
Definitely. I think De Ligt, I thought he was outstanding. Ugarte sort of covering in front of the back 4. Like Tul says, we've scored 3 goals. To be honest, I thought it was going to be a lot more trickier today. So I think it's nice to be in a position where we kind of look. I don't know whether I'm not giving United enough credit, but 3 goals, 3 points, and obviously we have to see what happens with Ruud.
We made it look quite easy, I thought. And Leicester, they're not a great side, but they're not a bad side. And if they would have beat us today, they would have gone above us in the table. So well needed 3 points for Manchester United, definitely for Ruben Amorim as well. Ipswich have just got beat off Spurs, so that'll make that an interesting fixture, the first game back after the international break. I think there's a lot of positives to take. Obviously, there's some criticism that we'll get into, but I want to start off, Mordzs, with Captain Fantastic, the thumbnail, Bruno Fernandes. 2 goals for him, 250 appearances. What did you make of his performance today?
Oh, I mean, well, technically one of them was an own goal, but I'll give it to Bruno. I wanted to give it to Bruno anyway.
I was in the Stretford end, so I couldn't quite see the.
It looked like an own goal.
Yeah, it looked like, I didn't actually realise that at first, but obviously when you watch it back, you can see. But yeah, I mean, I'll still give him the 2 goals. And I said on the build-up that I'm going to be watching Bruno today because he needs to kick on, and I feel like that goal at Chelsea, you could tell by his celebration, you can tell that he wanted it so much, and he's the kind of player that plays with so much passion. Like, he genuinely loves the club. Like, I've never spoke to him in real life, but I could just tell that he loves the club probably as much as I do. You know what I mean? Like, he sees that kind of player, and him scoring a goal and him having these kind of moments. That shot was, and that's an insane goal. That was an incredible goal, and it was similar to the Garnacho goal, was an insane goal, the Casemiro goal. We've had a lot of these big kind of wonder kind of goals where it's it weren't great team play, but it was just individual moments that just come. They come when the team feels confident. They come when the team feels like, what, I could shoot from this far. It could possibly go in, and when the team's playing well, they do end up going in. When the team's playing bad, you see them flying around and none of them end up going in. And I feel like Bruno had one of those moments today, but I thought it was a decent performance. He's obviously still got a bit of levels to kind of climb up to compared to the old Bruno, the 2020-21 Bruno. But I feel like as our captain, we want to see him as confident and as comfortable as he can be, and I think that today was a good example of what he can do.
He deserves praise today, Bruno. We've sat here many times, we've criticised him. What does he bring to the party? The levels have dropped off, but what was it, 250 games?
Yeah, today. 250
so it was
today.
His kind of moment, and you just sense before kick-off for some reason that was going to raise him to a different level. Whether I know the second one will go down as an own goal, but all action kind of display, really. Typical Bruno, but it's great to see.
Do you know what, for me as well, which I liked about Bruno's performance, him playing with Ahmad just makes him look better because he's got somebody else on his wavelength. And people might laugh at this if you're not a Bruno fan. I know Ricky will probably be laughing at home. But for me, Bruno and Ahmad, not only are they just...
They're on the same wavelength.
They're really hard working. They give everything for the badge, everything for the team, which, you know, some of the other players could take a leaf out of their book. But also, they're both intelligent players. So they're on the same wavelength, like you said, Kev. We need more players like that because, you know, when you're surrounded with better players around you, you play better because you bring out the best in each other. That first goal was absolutely fantastic, the way Ahmad won it back from Leicester, then he won the corner, and then that, you know, interchanging play, the intelligence in that, he deserved a goal. And that's what happens when you play good players together. And the fact that Ahmad has been being benched is, honestly, it's like criminal. It's like criminal to even think, how could you do that? Because for me, again, I mean, changing the subject a little bit, but I'll move on to you, Tul. For me today, and we'll talk about the Garnacho goal because it was a banger and it was fantastic. But for me, Ahmad is the only player that I can see in recent times that looks like he's good enough to start for Manchester United in the front three on a regular basis. Like, the only forward player we have that looks good enough to start on a regular basis, not an impact sub, start.
Yeah. I'm so glad you came to me for the Ahmad question. He today, so many levels above every other forward we've got. And the jump isn't even small. It is a big jump. We'll talk about Rashford and Rasmus Højlund later. I just want to talk about Ahmad for now. How many times did he win the ball back today? Unbelievable. The amount of, like, literally how he created his own goal on Thursday, he did that. It must have been like 5, 6, 7 times again today. He works tirelessly all game long. And I said to me mate who was sat next to, you know, on the ball, he's the one who, you know, Ricky always says this, you know, he looks after the ball the best. But now it's not even just that. In terms of being a direct winger, he's better than all the other wingers at it. When he's the only one who, when he picks up the ball and runs at a defender, he's the only one who you think, like, he's going to get a shot off on target. He's going to either beat his man, he's going to put a ball across the box, or he's going to get a shot off on target. You're just so much more confident when he has the ball compared to pretty much any other player on the pitch. So I'm hoping that when Amorim comes in, he's going to put his trust in Ahmad and just say, do you know what, you're my guy, and I'm going to start you every game, because if he gets a run of games, he could seriously put up some serious numbers, I think. Another assist for him today as well, wasn't it?
Amorim's going to be watching this as well. You talk in terms of an audition. Ahmad is definitely one of them players this week. I know we can only base it off these kind of 2 games that he's played this week. Scores 2 midweek, like you say, made that goal totally for himself. No other winger, apart from Ahmad, is capable of doing that, because the work rate's not there, and he is easily the best winger at the club. I know you can go, all right, well, Anthony's not great competition. I think he's better than Garnacho, he's better than Rashford, and he's showing him up big time.
Tell you what, dead quick on his assist as well today. He was absolutely buzzing with his assist. He went over to the crowd and jumped into the crowd pretty much.
It was class.
Well, like you said, Beth,
he was absolutely buzzing.
The one for Bruno, it's a little bit of a back heel. If that's Garnacho or Rashford in that situation, Bruno is not getting that ball back there.
No. You're absolutely right. And it's like, see that run he went on as well, and at the end all it needed was the finish, and it went at the keeper. It was an unbelievable run. Like, I don't want to get carried away, but the way he glides across the pitch, genuinely, he's so talented. And like what you were saying on the build-up show, Mordzs, his energy and his work rate, it's infectious. Because other players haven't been doing it. It shows them up when Ahmad is winning that ball back, going down, pressing the keeper, and winning balls from this, you know, battling. He wins headers as well. No other forward player wins headers. How many times this season have we seen Anna try and do that diagonal long ball to Rashford or Garnacho, and it's just gone straight to their defender? And Ahmad actually, you know, wins headers in the air. Probably wins more than Rasmus does at the moment as well.
Yeah, and what you said is 100%. You need players to kind of, not intentionally, but unintentionally show everyone up. And it sounds like, why would you want to do that? But I think that's crucial. I think there needs to be players in different parts of the pitch, not just the attacking players, but midfielders and defenders as well, that kind of show the rest of them that this is the standard that we need to get to. Because they're going to look at, the other attacking players are going to look at Ahmad and be like, he's playing really good, you know. Like, I need to step up now, because if I don't step up, let's be honest, none of their positions are confirmed. No, other than even Ahmad, we're not really knowing it because the new manager coming in. But in my opinion, only Ahmad should have his positions like stapled down. He should be the only person that's like, I know I'm going to play next week because he's good enough and because he's putting the performances. The rest of them should be thinking, it's a toss-up between me and maybe one or two other players. So if we have a player like Ahmad and we have other players in the midfield who are also putting in those performances, and a player in defence who's also putting in those performances, it lets the rest of the team know that, like, okay, cool, like, I need to do better, I need to perform better, because this is the level that I need to be working to. And when we don't have that, everyone's levels kind of just settles down because everyone's so content with not playing the best because there's nobody else to kind of show anyone up. So
that's the light bulb moment for me, that choice of word then, standards.
Yeah.
Because Ahmad, like I say, you want somebody setting the standards. I mentioned in the midweek forum, in the first half, Ahmad sprints towards the other end of the pitch and wins, puts in a tackle that you would hear like the likes of Roy Keane say stuff like that. I'd seen a clip of Keane the other day. It was from a derby a few years ago when we got beat at Old Trafford, and he was saying sometimes you just need to set the tone for the game, fly into a challenge, get the fans up. Ahmad did that midweek again, and a great choice of word, that standards, because standards have been low at Manchester United, but when you've got infectious kind of players like Ahmad, other players have to raise the game. Garnacho's on the sideline today. I know he come on and scored a great goal, but even players like that now will be looking and thinking, this kid's after my spot, but you want competition as well.
Regarding that as well, the way Ahmad plays, he plays like he's not guaranteed a start next week. Like the way he chases the ball down, it's like he's got in his head, I might not start next week, because the way he's been treated by the last manager. He plays every game like it's his last almost. Like he's trying to earn his next start, which I think is a complete contrast to some of the other players.
He is, to be fair.
Have you noticed
That's what I mean. Yeah, he's got fire in his belly.
Have you noticed as well, compared to the other forward players we have, like, he barely ever loses the ball. Of course, sometimes if he's trying something, like, wingers aren't going to do that. It's not going to go 100% every time, but he's so intelligent and knows when to make them decisions, and he barely loses the ball compared to other players, which is so important to recycle the possession and keep creating chances and keep probing it the opposition's defence. We've got some super chats in. Hambiker Kaya says, I wish Garnacho didn't score today because it helped mask a poor performance. His pass completion was damn near zero. He can't even pass the Dutch. Keel Robinson says Ahmad was playing Erik ten Hag football, so Erik ten Hag benched him. Simon Evans says Ahmad deserved to be a first team starter. Hopefully the new manager will get this. Yes, we hope so. I mean, let's talk about Garnacho, because absolute banger of a finish, and what a way to, respond to criticism, respond to being on the bench, which was needed, let's be honest. Bruno Fernandes has come out with this quote after the game, and he said, Garnacho scored a banger but didn't celebrate like he should because he thinks he's lost faith from some of the fans. I told him people will always moan, but lots of people like you and enjoy what you do. I told him to celebrate, it was something special. He's a special player. We have difference makers. They're the ones who win us the games. We want them to score every game, but that isn't always going to happen. Good words from the captain there to pick up his teammate. Garnacho has had some recent criticism. Some of it, if you do it in the right way, is deserved. Doing it in the wrong way, as we all know we've seen in the week, isn't the right way to do things. But on Garnacho, I personally didn't think it was a great performance, but I thought the goal was absolutely banging. I mean, Kev, is he an impact sub? Is that his role?
100%. I've said it so many times before that, Garnacho's still young. He's certainly got that in his locker, but the goal... I can't believe somebody's put a super chat in saying, what was it, that they wish Garnacho hadn't scored. I'm like,
that's crazy.
What about that?
You're not a United
Probably not United fan, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say.
Leicester fan in the chat.
Player FC out in force here, man. But no, it was an absolutely great finish. But I mean, I'm no body language expert, but you can certainly read into it and think the way that he didn't celebrate it. Yeah, he's made headlines this week, hasn't he? But in terms of where he is in this team, I've always said that arguably his best kind of position is coming off the bench, as that today, as he proved. But quite equally, the genius of the goal, it was only 5 minutes prior to that, a lovely ball through, he runs into the box, and then somehow manages to try and drag it back and put it out for a goal kick. And that's the highs and lows of Garnacho at the minute. I don't want to get onto him kind of too much. I think he's got the talent, but Amorim's got a massive job now when he comes in. It's nurturing that. I think the previous manager has put Far too much faith in these players. I think we know that regardless of how they were performing, they were just in that team, so there was no sort of motivation to go out there. Whereas an Ahmad has had 2 really, really good games this week, and that's how it should be. You know, he deserves now, after the international break, to be in the next team, the starting 11. You don't put Garnacho back in now simply because he scored a worldie today. You know, it has to be based off what you are bringing to the party, and in terms of what Ahmad did today, it was, you know, chalk and cheese, really.
Tul, do you think that Garnacho is more of an impact sub, or do you think he's got a role on that left wing to start?
I don't think he would be happy with that. You know, I'm sure no footballer would be happy with it. But
it doesn't mean you can
But he's still young.
Being an impact sub at this age at Manchester United at 20 years old, and also still starting some games. I'm just saying, not start every game. Like, do you think that's his role, or how do you see it? Garnacho's an interesting one because I don't think anyone can pinpoint where he's going to fit in the Ruben Amorim system, but he's a very talented player with a lot of potential, so it's an interesting one.
Said last year he shouldn't have been starting as many games as he started last year. No 19-year-old should be starting that many games. You shouldn't be hanging your hat on a 19-year-old that much. How many games did he start last year? It must have been near 50.
40, 50,
it must have been like 40, 50 games.
And
it was game after game after game, weekend, midweek. 90 minutes weekend, 90 minutes midweek. It was ridiculous. And, you know, even a player a little bit older would have burnt out. Do you know what I mean? He's a young lad, but even any player, apart from Bruno Fernandes, because he's just an anomaly, but most players would burn out at that. But we didn't really have any other options last year. Where was Ahmad last year? Did he go out on loan last year?
Last season,
yeah. Was it United? Yeah. He just didn't get a look in that much.
But he only got game time right at the end.
Right at the end, he got a couple games at the end.
His last one was Sunderland, wasn't it? Where he ripped it up there, Ahmad. You ask any Sunderland fan, they wanted to keep him.
I think with the crazy amount of trust that got put in Garnacho last season, also comes a crazy amount of pressure, which, if you're not careful, you could break a 19-year-old doing that. I think today's kind of like the little reaction he had after he scored. That's almost like an outburst of emotions, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? He's definitely he's definitely feeling the pressure. Who wouldn't feel the pressure at that age, having to start every week? You know, the fact that we're even in his mind, he probably thinks he's like the most relied upon guy to score in that team, and he's 19, 20 years old. It's not right.
You've got to manage his minutes big time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And look, my thing with Garnacho is, and I said this on one of the other shows, is, like Beth said, innit, super talented, a lot of potential. The reality is, for how good he is and for where United actually want to be, it doesn't match up. But doesn't mean he's not bad. We just want to be a title contending team. Garnacho isn't a title contending team winger. And the problem is, and this is going to sound like weird, innit, but the problem is actually just the fact that Rashford isn't good enough. I think if Rashford was the level that we wanted him to be, Garnacho wouldn't have a problem. He wouldn't have a problem sitting on the bench because he'd be thinking...
There wouldn't be as much pressure on it.
It wouldn't be nowhere near as much pressure because he would be thinking, you know what, I'm still underneath a senior player who in Rashford, he'll be putting in performances. I can learn from him, and when I get my opportunity, I can come out, I can thrive, and I can show, you know, the player that I am. But it's the fact that Rashford isn't putting in those performances. Yeah. That's why he's probably thinking, why am I on the bench when he's not doing that, and why is he constantly starting over me? That's probably what going through his head. And when he gets a lot of criticism, he's probably thinking, how am I getting criticism and the other winger in my position isn't playing well as well? And that's the problem that we have. And I mentioned on the build-up a player like Foden, and I know they're completely different, like worlds apart in terms of talent, but when Foden was 2021 or 1920, he was happily sitting on the bench because the players he was starting were far better than him, and so many senior players that were starting. He had no problem because one, he had Pep anyway, so you can't really complain to Pep. But two, the players that were starting on every single game, he was happy to sit on the bench behind them because he knew, even though he was super talented, I'm not better than them, you know what I mean? And they're putting in good performances and we're winning the league without me anyway starting. So he was okay to just develop and be one of those players to, you know, come off the bench and learn underneath those senior players. But the fact is, at United, we don't have a player in front of Garnacho that's putting in great performances week in, week out. So I can understand what's going through his head. He's probably thinking, I'm scoring goals like this and nobody else is. You know, it's really just Ahmad who's only just doing it now. So I get what's going through his head, but eventually, hopefully anyway, we'll have a winger, whether it is Rashford or whether it's somebody else, who is putting in those 10-10 performances week in, week out on both sides, not just Ahmad doing it on both sides. And then Garnacho can, I don't know, the pressure will be like relieved over him, because right now it seems like in his head he's thinking, I have to be the guy every single game.
Yeah, the vast majority of it's come from a mismanagement.
I was just going to say
pretty much all of it is just mismanagement.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. Because you need these players fresh. You know, even Mainu to an extent thought he was absolutely brilliant last season, but we could all see, looking in, that the guy needs a rest. And we're guilty of it, supporters are guilty of it, but certain players are just propelled from, you know, I was at the game, the Youth Cup final that Garnacho, you know, arrived in that game, scored 2 goals in that, you know, against Nottingham Forest, and that then propelled him, you know, got into the team. But again, you have to continue to work on that. Again, he's got time on his side, but I think we're just very fast sometimes. I use that word overhype. It's happened so many times. I'm not for 1 minute suggesting that Mainu is overhyped, but again, another player last year, it's no coincidence, is it, that, you know, he gets an injury because he's playing that many games, and we were so heavenly kind of reliant on him. But it comes down to just managing game time.
It comes down to senior players needing to step up as well. I mean, let's talk about a senior player in the front line that needs to step up, Marcus Rashford. I mean, today's performance was one of the worst I've seen.
I can't wait to see the ratings for him, because honestly, it's...
When you looked at Ahmad and you looked at him, it was just...
Do you know what I'm so glad? Of Ruud van Nistelrooy's short tenure as this interim manager, as he brought him off sort of twice, hasn't he? Most recently, like... And
subbed him at the right time.
That tells you everything, that. Again, I'm not a body language expert. You see him coming off. I know you said to me earlier, you know, he's probably disappointed in himself. I hope he is, you know, and it's not, I'm throwing my toys out the pram and, you know, I'm being brought off, because he deserved to be brought off, 100%.
Even towards the...
I do think it was because he was probably... I would like to think it's because he's annoyed at his own performance, because I would be.
Yeah. It should be. You just wouldn't know, you know, with modern day footballers like that, you know, it could be twisted that... you know, with Ruud van Nistelrooy in charge kind of thing. I was thinking that this is a great audition now for some players to step up. Rashford, for me, has been one of these players who's just... there doesn't seem to have been any step up, any like, there is a new manager coming in, you know, I want to be in his plans. That is one, you know, there's a few of them, there's a few players, but the more senior kind of players, you know, you look at Casemiro the last few games. Where's this come from? You know, he's literally... We spoke about it the other week, about being written off after the kind of Liverpool game. And the response that he has had just recently in this system with Ugarte, who's getting better and better, it's just them little combinations. They just look so solid. And Casemiro, 2 games in a week there, he's been, you know, arguably sort of man of the match. Only the fact that Ahmad scored the goals midweek, you know, he will get it, rightly so. But he's been brilliant. I
remember the other week, Mordzs, don't know when it was, but you were saying, obviously you wanted Ahmad to start, but you were like, I think it was before the Chelsea game, and you were like, but if you're a defender, you probably still are going to be more scared of Rashford than you are of Ahmad. Yeah. That's just, you can't even say that anymore, because today, if you literally watched Ahmad and Rashford's performances side by side, which Ahmad is the standard right now, because he's the best performing one, the worlds apart. Like, Rashford just looks like he has no spark at all.
What would you be worried about with Rashford? You can't go, well, what is it, his reputation, or because a couple of seasons ago he scored, you know, a load of goals? You can't look at that and go, oh God, you know, if he starts scoring again. I think he's very, very easy to sort of defend against. If you're Leicester today, or whoever it's going to be, Ipswich in the next game or whatever, there's no special plan. He's not that good that you go out and go, we need to man mark, we need to double up on him. He's that much of a threat.
It's interesting, isn't it, Tul? Because you'd think he'd want to impress the new manager, and obviously the new manager coming in, it's a different setup, and it's going to be interesting who's in his starting 11. Do you think Rashford will be in it?
There's loads to talk about with Rashford and the new manager, and I think Garnacho falls into the same bracket where, you know, with Rashford today, so I was sat right up close to the pitch, was right next to the pitch, so Rashford was on my side for the second half until he went off. And it definitely is a confidence thing, but we've said that for nearly 2 years now. And it's like, as a top level professional, you can't totally rely on external motivation. There's got to be a certain point where you've got to pick yourself up and you know, judge yourself by the performances and raise the level. Whereas it feels like for a season and a half now, we've been saying, oh, he's lacking confidence. A manager could come in and instill some confidence into him. However, from looking at Amorim's system, I'd rather. I don't think he fits anywhere into. He's definitely not going to play a wing back. Like, he's not going to play a wing back. He's already been criticised enough for his defensive work. He's just not that type of runner. He's not going to do it. Those two positions behind a striker, which are more like 10s rather than wingers, that's more suited to like Bruno, Ahmad, Mount, those kind of players. I really don't see Rashford playing in that kind of position. I don't know what you lot think, but
the only place he can play is on the left. He's not going to run the line. He can't play up front, even though he originally started out as that when he first burst onto the scene. Play him on the right hand side. What's the point? You've got Ahmad there at this moment in time. I'm not even going to say he's flavour of the month, as I said earlier. He is the best winger, by a country mile, as you've all alluded to. I totally agree with that he is head and shoulders above. For the full package as a winger, I just find it amazing that, like Marcus Rashford is the best paid player at the club. And yet he's not even the best player at the club.
He's lost his hunger.
He's lost something, and I don't know. It might be hunger. I don't know what it is. Just genuinely, that year, that first Ten Hag year to now is like worlds apart. It's like a completely different play. He's not even trying the same things that he was doing. He's not even making the same runs. He's not. I don't know, passing it the same.
When was the last time you seen him getting behind? When was the last time you seen Marcus Rashford
sprinting behind him?
Mate, he was meant to be one of the fastest players in the world. I've not seen him sprint in ages.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I remember that goal he scored coming off the bench at Wolves when he was a bit late and he came off the bench and he just, shoved two big defenders out the way and used his strength to stick it. I think it was bottom corner, and he just looked like he would do anything to score a goal, and it just doesn't have the spark.
That fire in his belly, I don't know.
Did you see today when he had the ball on the edge of the box and he looked like he was in prime position to maybe take it onto his right foot and get a shot off on goal, but then he kind of dilly-dallied on the ball, and then by the time it got to a defender pressing him, he got to get rid of the ball, otherwise he's going to lose it. So he tried to play Bruno on the overlap and it just went out of play. And I was thinking, do you remember that goal he scored at Arsenal away? When he megged someone and then hit it from about 25 yards.
Start of the season.
Yeah, mate, you would never see Rashford do that right now. You wouldn't even see him attempt a shot right now. It's
like it's like he's scared of criticism.
I agree. I think he's playing with a little bit of like, well, if I have a shot and then, I've then took a shot outside the box, honest, I'm going to get pelters for losing the ball.
The crowd is a bit harsh on Rashford, I will say that though. When you go to stadium, when Rashford does do something wrong, the crowd do get onto him heavy.
It's because the cup's full.
But I was just saying, but like Beth said as well.
Get onto him heavy.
It's because their cup is full.
It's not just one game, is it?
I'm sorry, but it's because their cup is full, because his performances have been terrible for a long time now, and he's the best paid player at the club. You can't just be the best paid player at Manchester United, wear the number 10, and expect everything to be sunshine and rainbows if you're performing badly. You've got to live up to it. You've got to deliver. You cannot get a 300 grand a week contract, have the number 10 be starting week in, week out, and expect just to, no criticism when you're not delivering. People are going to be frustrated with that.
It's probably a lack of motivation on his side as well, clearly, because we have seen this in the past. You call it the curse of the contract. Aubameyang, Ozil or whatever at Arsenal. Two that I'm just thinking off the top of my head. But sometimes when these players, and they're given far too much too early, there is no doubt about that. I know you can blame, it's certainly not the manager's fault, but the club at the time to give a contract like that is a huge contract. And then it comes down to, right, well, fair enough, he's from Wythenshawe, he supports United as a kid or whatever. I get all that, but how many times can we sit here after games and be talking about, like I say, the best paid player in our current squad? And like I say, he's not even the best player, but he's now classed as one of the more senior players in this squad. You've got players that are a lot younger than him that probably look up to him, but if I'm Ahmad today and I'm thinking this guy's my sort of, what do you call it, in the team competition, for place, I wouldn't be worried. I'd be sleeping well tonight if I'm Ahmad. I'm thinking the new manager's going to come in, and if he's watched my last couple of performances, I'm in this team, and he thoroughly deserves it. Yeah.
I feel like as well, it's like every single week we're like, we just hope Rashford, can get back. We hope he can get back.
Same as last season.
We're not a charity at the end of the day. How long are we going to wait?
How long do you keep hoping? Do you know what I mean? So anyway, got some super chats in. Keel Robinson says loan or sell Rashford. Kylan Orr says Tulbro, I'm one of the lads that was sat in front of you today. Pleasure to chat to you at the game. Some win. Us coming from Derry too.
Nice, mate. Nice to hear
It's
from
the
you.
Minecraft guy.
Watch No Face says Ahmad said he wants to be United forever and plays like he really does care that much. Lost his mother and didn't even drop form. Absolute example of class. Anthony Tracy says United in a nutshell tried to sign Sancho from Dortmund, asked for 120 mil, sign Ahmad instead, then sign Sancho for 75, sign Anthony for 80, realise Ahmad is the one. The fuzzy one says, any chance I can hear Kev do his best Hulk Hogan impression?
What?
I don't even know who that is.
Hulk Hogan.
You don't know who Hulk Hogan is?
WWE. Old
You don't know Hulk Hogan is?
WWE fella.
What was his catchphrase? I got
Hey, brother.
Is that what it was? There you go. You got it from
I'll
Tul
know if
instead.
like you show me like
They're not used to do that.
Yeah. Ultimania.
You can work on it, can't you?
I will, yeah.
Uh, Keith-
Grow a handlebar tash
And he
as well.
used to do all that as
The
well.
tash,
didn't
you
he?
gotta get the tash. I can't.
And there are the super chats in so far. If anyone has anything to say, make sure you get your super chats in and we will read it out. Right, I want to move on to some positivity. First bit of positivity is Andre Onana now has the most clean sheets in the Premier League.
Is it?
Like we were saying, the defence
Wow.
the defence is working well. And I do want to talk about the defence. What do I talk about first? Mazraoui or
Mazraoui.
Oh, Ugarte?
Oh, actually, no, we gotta keep
Oh, actually,
positive.
okay, let's talk-
Let's go positive. Yeah, let's go positive, mate.
Let's talk about the defence. Okay. First thing is Manchester United absolutely robbed Bayern Munich blind.
Yeah, I cannot understand why they valued him at that.
Mazraoui.
Why did they value him at 10 million quid? Like,
He's absolutely.
We need to ring the police and report a robbery.
Now, I'll be honest, no, we deserve it because we've been robbed.
Yeah, we've been robbed. We deserve.
That's the one we got right.
We deserved one to go in our favour. But honestly, the upgrade on Wan-Bissaka is
it's levels.
levels. He's so good. Every single game he performs. Never see him drop off. Never see him have a bad moment. He's so solid at defending, class on the ball.
Full package.
Glides into the midfield like nobody's business. I mean, we've been having this debate. Not that you really want to like pit players against each other, but loads of people are saying, you know, if only one can start at right back, who's going to start? Diallo or Mazraoui? Diallo or Mazraoui? Everyone started the season off saying Diallo. I think Mazraoui's chipped it away with his brilliant performances week after week to the point where everyone's like, you know what? Mazraoui, you've sold me. You're absolutely class.
yeah,
That's interesting.
he's done that
I
for
don't know
me.
what people actually say.
Yeah, he's done that for me. If we were speaking to a lad today about how Luke Shaw's back fit, and then he was talking
Oh my
about.
God.
I know who he is. I know who he is.
There's that Hulk. At least it's not Lee Mack anyway.
But I was speaking to the lad about how, you know, Luke Shaw's back fit, and then he was talking about, well, did you hear about the recent little Alphonso Davies whispers? And we're saying, well, if that left wing back spot was or left back spot was taken up by somebody else who wasn't Diallo or Mazraoui, do you pick Mazraoui or Diallo on the right? And I said, I love Diallo. I thought he had a great season last season, but from what I'm seeing right now, there's no way I'm leaving Mazraoui out that starting 11. On top of the output that we're getting from him, if you want to talk about a player who knows what it means to play for United and gives his all every single game, he's the one right now. Like, every single game he brings an intensity, which you need more of that in your team. The more players you have in a team, which regardless of their output, regardless of what they're doing on the ball, as long as they turn up every game and bring that level of intensity and fight, you know, it's contagious. Like we were saying before, similar about Ahmad, it is contagious. And the more players you have like that in your team, another one we'll get onto, which I've kind of turned around. Compared to when we signed him, I'm starting to turn around a little bit. Ugarte, I thought he had an unbelievable game today.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
We've got comments to make on Ugarte, but guys, the Mazraoui Diallo, if only one is starting it right back. I messaged Ricky on the way back from the game saying I've seen enough. Mazraoui's the guy.
Oh yeah.
Like, you know, it's not anything against Diallo. I've just seen Diallo get cooked the whole game.
Yeah. My thing with when it comes to defenders, and I understand this whole modern day defender, you want that defenders to be like good going forward and technically gifted on the ball and, you know, can make a pass and can take on a player, I'm not even trying to say that we don't need that. You still need that in modern day football. But for me, like when I think about defenders, whether it's a fullback or centre back, I still value them on how much of a risk you are. And I just feel like Diallo was a little bit more of a risk than Mazraoui. I feel like he's still got it in him a little bit to kind of make a mistake here and there and get beat or get ripped off a player. And it's not, I'm not saying he's a bad defender, but compared to Mazraoui, I feel like Mazraoui is a little bit more comfortable. I'm a little bit more confident when Mazraoui's got the ball or when Mazraoui's defending, that he's not going to make a mistake. And I still feel that that's the more important thing when it comes to being a defender, because at the end of the day, you can score 10 goals, if you can see 12, you lost the game. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make a difference.
If you had to choose one or the other, if it was your choice at this moment in time, who would you choose?
At this moment in time, I'll pick Mazraoui. At this moment in time.
At this moment in time, this is what people like, because I don't want to get twisted. Like, Diallo, I think he's an underrated fullback, and I think at his age, I think he's got a lot to give. He's been playing minute after minute after minute. I don't want to go in too harsh on him, but the fact of the matter is, Fatawu today cuts him. And then when Mazraoui moved to that position, Leicester moved Fatawu, is that how you say his name, to the other side, because Mazraoui was he's just so solid.
Yeah.
So based off this game, obviously Mazraoui had a better performance, but I think across the season as well, Mazraoui's been better, and that's that recency thing. But this is where players have to fight for the position, Kev. It shouldn't be guaranteed, should it?
Yeah, and I need to. Somebody messaged me the other day and said that I need to say Mazraoui this way now. So I hope I get these words out right, but it's going to be Mazraoui wowie.
Love that.
And then I forget who said it. Somebody private messaged me on Instagram and said, "Kev, I think you're the guy to pull this off on the fan forum, if anyone can say." And I thought, every time I'm going to have to say his name like that now. But that's in a nutshell for me, because every single week he's doing it. Like I say, ring the police, report a robbery, whatever, because Bayern Munich got absolutely done. And we do deserve it in a sense, like Mordzs says, the amount of money that we flippantly threw away on players. To have somebody that's so effective and hit the ground running. None of this nonsense of, he's going to need 5 or 6 games to get up to the speed of the Premier League. He's just fitted in, absolute class.
De Ligt and Martinez are forming a good partnership as well, aren't they?
Brilliant. Great double signing, when you look at that.
Thank you very much, Bayern Munich.
Yeah, nice one.
I think, in my opinion, even though we have spoken a bit about Diallo not being like top form, I still think this should be our starting defence for the future. I don't think we should change it.
Well, it's going to go to back 3, isn't it?
Lenny Oro to come in as well.
Yeah, but I feel like he's going to bring in another, maybe like a Amad at wing back or something, or someone like an attacking player, more of a winger into that back 5. I guess you want to call it a back 5. But I still think in terms of, they're going to try and bring, like I said, you're going to bring in Euro. But I just think those 4 players should still start. Those 4 players. I don't think anyone should be taken out for, I don't know, a Luke Shaw or definitely not Malacia. I don't even know how good he is anymore. But I don't think...
Forgot.
Forgot how good he is. But I still think those 4 players should still keep their positions in the team when the new manager comes in. Wherever it is, I don't know how he's going to position it, but I still think they should all play.
If it is going to be a back 3, I know we can speculate or whatever, but by God, De Ligt, Martinez and Euro, as a back 3, if that is what it is going to be kind of long term, you look at that and think, what? That's what you'd think.
I'll tell you something I've just thought about in terms of the back 3, and I've not even considered this once. I've only just now started to think about it now that Luke Shaw's back in training. Every time I remember United playing a back 5 in the last 3 years, Shaw played centre-back. He didn't play wing-back, did he?
Yeah.
So have we completely overlooked the fact that it could be Martinez, De Ligt, Shaw?
Until Euro's ready.
It very well could. I've not even thought about it until right then.
Could be. It'll be very interesting.
It's nice to have versatile players, as
Shaw
well,
can
isn't
stay
it?
fit. That is.
Yeah. Oh my God.
The man that gets injured coming back from injury.
I honestly don't even want to speak about him right now. I'm just going to wait until see if he's fit, honestly.
That's all I want for Christmas, just a season out of Shaw.
Honestly,
They'll never get enough.
Just one season.
He's 30.
Well, if he stays, you've seen, haven't you? If he stays fit when he comes back until Christmas, he's only got to last about a month. Mark's giving £1,000 to a charity by the United staff. So, yeah. He said at the start of the season, when Luke Shaw gets back from injury, and obviously he thought he was going to be back in September, because that's when he was originally supposed to be back. He said if he stays fit till Christmas, he'll donate £1,000 to a charity of the United Stand Viewers' Choice. But now it's November and he's still not back, so he's only got a month.
He's used that as motivation.
And then then he'll be donating some money, so hopefully he can. I mean, let's talk about a potential man of the match contender, because I'm ready for this one. Manuel Ugarte. Stats to bring in. No Manchester United player since data records began has won more tackles in a Premier League game than Manuel Ugarte did today.
How many?
Wow. 8.
Really?
1-8, yeah.
Do you know, I actually read a stat earlier, and it said that in the French league last season, he made more tackles than any other player, and I think he played 25 games. last season for Paris Saint-Germain. Made more tackles than anybody else.
He looks like he's getting a lot more comfortable, and him and Casemiro looking like a very, very good duo in the middle of the park, aren't they, guys?
Yeah, they are looking like a good duo. That's not me trying to say that I would still keep them as the two midfielders when the rest of them are fit, the other guys are fit. But I think in terms of the Ugarte, him having so many tackles, I think what's changed is the fact that he's actually pulling the tackles off. Before, he was attempting a lot of tackles, he just weren't pulling them off. There was loads of fouls, he was just getting caught out a lot of the time. It was like a second too late, and I think that was just him adjusting. We spoke before about Mazraoui not having to adjust. I think Ugarte had to have a couple of games just to adjust to the speed of the Premier League and the tempo that United play at. Now that he's adjusted, he's comfortable. I'm so comfortable with him being in that midfield. Whoever the other guy is, whether it is a Casemiro if he's even here next year, or if it's a Mainoo or Eriksen or whoever else wants to play next to him, I'm comfortable with Ugarte being that kind of solid, like warrior kind of midfielder where he's going to clean up everything that's in the middle of the pitch.
That's one where we're going to have to wait and see. Yeah, we're going to have to completely wait and see on that, because I think right now I would not move Casemiro away from him.
Really well.
Yeah, I would not move Casemiro away from him. And as much as I love Kobbie Mainoo, and as much as I was banging on about how he's my favourite player last year, the one time I seen a Ugarte, Mainoo, Bruno midfield, and I know it was one time, but it was that absolutely pants performance against Spurs.
Yeah.
And it's just ever since, I'm very like, if I seen that lineup now, I would be like, oh, I don't know.
The whole point is what we were saying, and as good as Kobbie Mainoo is, and I'm sure he will get back into the 11, no one should be guaranteed. You've got to fight for it. Like, he might have to come back from injury, and he might have to
try my team, man.
He might have to try and fight for his place back from Casemiro and Ugarte. If they continue performing, then you've got to wait for your place, and then you've got to perform. Then he'll get his place back. He's insanely
It's that saying,
talented.
isn't it? If it's not broke, don't fix it. But yeah, you would assume that at his age and that he'll certainly get back into the team. But at the same time, you don't just throw him back in straight away.
But even his passing, Ugarte's passing, it's just a breath of fresh air for me. I mean, he keeps it simple. And he finds a red shirt. Not enough Manchester United players have done that for a long time.
They complement each other well, don't they? Casemiro and Ugarte at this moment in time. It's working so well because we've said before that Casemiro looks so exposed, in certain games. You think back to that Liverpool game, it was absolutely horrendous, and he was practically written off then. The upturn in what he's doing at this moment in time, it just strikes me as a player that actually wants to stay at the club, and I like that because he's experienced, he's a professional. You see the instant in the match against Chelsea, where he had a right go at Garnacho. We need that. We need leaders. Casemiro is one of them players that if you're talking about a Ligt, we say that there aren't many leaders in this team, but Casemiro's definitely one of them. For him to have a go at Garnacho in that game, which he was absolutely spot on and correct to do.
He had a go at Diallo today.
Exactly, but that's what you need on that pitch. And Casemiro, for the younger players, I know that Mainoo said before he couldn't wait to play with him, in a midfield kind of too. They're going to look up to somebody like this because he's been there, he's done it, he's won the lot. So,
and it'll help Ugarte settle in as well.
Oh,
and
big time.
That's what Ugarte needed. People are so quick to jump on him, so quick. Patience, settling into the team, adapting to Premier League football. He's 23 years old and he's looking a lot better now. He's looking comfortable, he's passing. I think is exactly what we needed. And even that pass into Garnacho, which Garnacho should have done better with to set him free. He's got a few very good passes in his locker that are starting to come out as well.
I was going to say, he started taking that on now, wasn't he? There was a few, he was trying to ping the ball over to Ahmad a few times today as well. And to be fair to him, it's not like he has to play 5 balls to get one right. He'll usually only play the pass if he knows he can get it right. If he can definitely make it. The one to Garnacho today was just unbelievable. I think you got it bang on Thursday. Do you know when you called in on Thursday and you said with Casemiro and Ugarte, it's like they cover up each other's weaknesses.
Yeah.
Like wherever Casemiro would be exposed, Ugarte fills in, and that's where Ugarte's strengths are.
I agree with that. I've just seen a chat, by the way, asking about our poppies. One thing I will say is it's not disrespectful. I had the poppies. I was supposed to bring them in, and I forgot them at home. But we are all obviously, paying our respects, and we did it at the game. Tul's got his on, so I left them at home. I tried to get some before we went live, but I couldn't couldn't find any anywhere. So yeah, it's with the poppies, we are showing our respect in that way. So I just wanted to address that. Some super chats in as well. Song Hyun Min says, not sus, but not sus, but Tul's pecs looking nice and big.
So yeah, being sus, basically, not being sus.
Mate, I'm in a proper weird situation at the moment. Not been in the gym in 2 weeks. I'm shrinking.
I'm so sorry. I wouldn't have read that if I actually would have. You know when you start reading something, it's like, oh right, okay, now I'm reading it. Jim's Natty One says, I'd take that as a compliment.
No, I'm buzzing.
Jim's Natty One says, a class Rowie, so good, what a player, what a bargain. Keel Robinson says, cash in on Diallo. Thank you everyone for your super chats. Next thing I wanted to bring up, I mean, we've talked about Ugarte, talked about Casemiro. Now I want to talk about Rasmus Højlund and Joshua Zirkzee, just to kind of finish off the show. Because Ricky messaged me and said, make sure you bring up Zirkzee. And I said, Ricky, I was already going to. Very little to go off, but, you know, you've got to point it out when it's there. Small improvements today with Zirkzee. When he came on, linking up play, won some headers, you know, won the ball, nice touch, like, didn't look as sluggish as he usually did. Do we all agree with that?
I agree with it, but I do think he came on when the game was a lot slower. It was a lot slower of a game. When he did look better. He looked well better than what he has done, but it was a lot of a slower game.
How long did he come on for, Zirkzee?
10 minutes.
Did he look better than Højlund did?
I was just going to say, I think that Zirkzee probably did more in that 10, 15 minutes, whatever it was, than probably Højlund did.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Sort of game that he was on the pitch, but again, that really is more of a criticism of Højlund, if anything, you know, because Zirkzee he wasn't amazing, but he come on, he linked the play, got it out wide, you know, supported the attacks and that in a short space of time where you looked and thought, yeah, that's all right. But I think the fact that I've even just said that, it tells you more about how disappointing Højlund was today.
Højlund's really starting to worry me. I feel like he's having more bad games than good. And it's starting to concern me a little bit. It's so easy for defenders to play him at the moment. You know, every time Rashford got the ball on the wing and was like looking to maybe cross it in the box, that Vestergaard just absolutely ate him up. I mean, it was literally just at some point just manhandling him, and like Højlund just didn't really know what he just didn't know what to do. And I said this to you lot just before we started. Then, sure, everybody in the chat is going to have noticed this. I feel like Højlund does this exact thing at least like 5 times a game, every game, where, you know, the ball will be coming to him and he'll back up and pin the defender, but then his touch ends up like a metre or 2 in front of him, and then, you know, he's literally just going to lose the ball. One thing that I will give him a little bit of leeway with is that I feel like, you know, when the ball gets it up to Højlund, I feel like he's always on his own. Like when he's either trying to bring the ball down or he's trying to get anything on the ball with his back to goal, there's never anybody there to try and win the second ball. I don't think it's. So I feel like maybe you see a better Højlund in a different system, maybe.
I'm concerned.
It's a strength thing?
Yeah, do you know, I was just going to say that because he seems to spend half his time on the pitch actually on the floor. Yeah. And there are moments now, whether, like you've said there, if you're backing into a defender and you're playing with your back to goal, you have to be stronger. I know there's certain instances where winning a free kick, like we speak about, like the FA Cup final, for instance, winning them fouls up the pitch, but we were 2-1 up in that, you know, we're trying to win the FA Cup at that spot or that time, and that was really good play from Højlund to win them fouls high up the pitch, give everyone a breather, get us up. But in a game like that today, when he starts, his confidence is definitely low. But you talk about him being isolated. There was a moment in the first half, I go back to Ahmad again, where Ahmad basically ran into the corner first half. And I remember looking at it and thinking, nobody with him. But he managed to hold the ball up. You know, he managed to get out of the situation, then won a foul on the edge of the box. And he had no right, really, to do that. But you look at that, and again, I'm not comparing Ahmad and Højlund, but there's just little moments where you look and you think, if you're actually a bit streetwise here, you know, football intelligence kind of wise, there's ways of getting out of situations, but there's no doubt. Højlund is definitely becoming, I won't say an issue, it's more of a concern at this moment in time.
A bit of a worry.
Because again, you can use this word it relates to so many players that they've got potential. But we need to start seeing, you need to start seeing more. I don't think as a fan demanding or, asking that, it's not too much, is it? Spent a lot of money on him.
All I was thinking today was if Martial dropped this performance, you wouldn't hear the end of it. Martial got stick left, right and centre. He was 10 times better at holding up the ball than Højlund is, at linking up the play than Højlund is. And that's just a fact at this moment in time. Højlund works really hard. I'll give him that. He works really hard and he's got potential. And I think he's a good finisher. But I think it's just, building strength, building that intelligence. And like you said, the IQ.
Yeah.
The IQ is a big thing. It's tough. It's really tough to be a Premier League striker. Really
You
tough.
just said, working hard. We've spent 70 odd million on a player. The bare minimum that you should expect from any player that puts on that shirt is to, put a bit of graft in. He can't get away with saying, oh, he works his socks off, he runs about and that, put me on the pitch, I'll do it. I'm shit, but I'll give it a good go. But
I think the thing with Højlund is, first thing I'll say is, I feel like him and Xerxes have, they both got good qualities, but they both don't have what the other player has, if that makes sense. I feel like Xerxes he can win a header.
Totally different, aren't they?
Totally different. It's like the things that Højlund needs, Xerxes probably has more. He can link up the play a little better. When he brings the ball down, he can find a pass when he's playing on form anyway. And the things that Xerxes needs is like Højlund has them. He has the he's got a lot of pace. He can get in behind. He can finish very well. So it's like they're both kind of opposite strikers. And the reason why I always pick Højlund over Xerxes is because I feel like Højlund's ability can lead to more goals compared to Xerxes. But one thing I will say about Højlund is he's kind of in a similar position to Garnacho, whereas in a sense of he's having to start every game because there's nobody in front of him that's better, if that makes sense. Garnacho's in the same position where there's not much competition, and it's because there's not much competition, now we look at Højlund as well, he should be like this, he should be like that. Should he? Why should he be like that? We signed him from a team and he only played 21 games the season before for that team. It's not like he was playing 50 games for a top level side scoring 30 goals a season. We didn't buy that player. We spent a lot of money, but we didn't buy that player. So the fact that he is having to start every single game and the guy behind him isn't necessarily any better.
That's why we should have gone for an experience this summer, but no one wanted to listen.
That one is on. It's on Ten Hag. I'm not just saying it because he's left the building and it's an easy target.
It's on Ineos.
It's on a club.
It's on Ineos. They chose to go for Joshua Xerxes. I'm sorry. By the way, I hope Xerxes can be a good player for us, and now he's here. I really want the best for him. But Ineos made a mistake when they decided to go for another young striker. They should have brought someone in with experience who could take the burden off Rasmus. It was the obvious move. You can't just blame Ten Hag for that. Ineos were in the building this summer, and that's what they chose to do. Probably a money-saving exercise because Xerxes had that, release clause.
Yeah, they paid it over a certain thing.
But let's hope Xerxes, ends up being the guy we all want him to be. But this summer, the right move was to go for an experienced striker.
And that's huge pressure on Højlund as well. From his point, if you did want to kind of side with him a little bit, the fact that we put all our eggs in one basket, basically. And it's all right bringing Xerxes in and saying that he's going to be the backup, but he's openly admitted as well that don't expect me to, I'm not a goal scorer. So, I'm like, what we brought him in for? He's supposed to be there to challenge Højlund. And a club like United, you look at the past strikers, that we've had. You look at any successful team in world football now, that they'll have options. We don't really have that, do we?
And now what's going to happen is Ruben's going to come in and he's going to be like, I need this striker. And if one of you two ain't going to be that striker, I'm going to bring in, whether it's a Ugarte or whether it's somebody else, he's going to be like, I need him. The same way Ten Hag said, I need Højlund and I need Xerxes. He's going to say, I need my striker now because these two guys are not to the level that I need them to be to be able to play in my system. When that happens, one of them's going to fall short. All three of them can't play because Xerxes is not going to play as a wing back or as a midfielder. And maybe Højlund can play as one of the other forwards. We don't know in it, but the reality is they all want to be a number 9. They all want to be a striker. So when Ruben comes in and he does say, you know what, I want to bring in, let's say it is a Ugarte as that number 9. One of those is going to fall short, and we're probably going to lose him a lot of money. It really is
interesting.
We're going to lose a lot of money when I'm selling them.
Yeah, whoever did the recruitment on it, like Beth said, Ineos, I think they're responsible for so much of it because when you look at Højlund's strengths, when you look at some of Højlund's best goals for United, it's when he's just been running in behind the defence, or he's had a ball
He's a
played to
through-the-line
him,
striker,
and he just
isn't he?
absolutely, he's got the entire half of the pitch to just run, get one-on-one with the keeper. That's absolutely his best strength. And we play him as an all-up, back-to-goal player.
Yeah,
it's a complete. You've got a piece of a puzzle in the wrong place.
You're not playing him to his best strengths.
Yeah, exactly. Which is why I hope maybe a new system can get a bit more out of him.
It's like how Casemiro was being completely exposed in Ten Hag's system because we were just exposing his weaknesses. I feel like that is what we're doing with Højlund. Like, we're not playing to his strengths, we're playing to his weaknesses, which obviously isn't going to help him. But hopefully, one of them can step up and do the business very, very soon because we need a striker to be firing. Interesting news coming out from Ruud van Nistelrooy on his future at Manchester United. He said, I expect to hear today or tomorrow. So let's just do a quick little vote round robin now. Do we think Ruud will still be here in Amorim's first game in charge? Tul?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
No. I think he will.
You think he will?
Yeah, I think he will. I think he wants to.
Oh, there's without
he wants
shadow
to.
of a
It's
doubt.
just whether he...
I just don't.
Okay, who do you think it depends on?
Depends on Amorim.
Yeah.
He's kept the exact same coaching staff, hasn't it? All the way from what was the first team called before?
Club.
Yeah, it's Braga. Yeah.
It just depends how Amorim looks at Ruud and thinks, you know, can he
Could
be
I
that
fit him in my
go-between?
system?
You know, he knows the players, but as harsh as it sounds, you know, if you're going to keep him on, not just because all us are here going, Ruud's a legend, keep him at the club, you know. It's Amorim has to come in now, and he's got that much to deal with. You can't just keep, you know, like Mickey Phelan back in the day.
I was going to say, we made this mistake. We made this mistake when Giggsy was Van Gaal's assistant manager.
Yeah.
I mean, realistically, what was Giggsy doing being the assistant manager at that time? We've done this before. We need to stop making this mistake.
Darren Fletcher's at the club.
Yeah, but to be fair to Fletcher,
like
if you have a look at some of the players that have come up, Garnacho and Mainu, is he doing that bad of a job?
He's a technical director.
He's a technical director.
Isn't
Yeah.
I thought he was overseeing like the gap between the academy and
I
watched an interview. I think
he's doing that.
He did an interview with Ferdinand and he was saying he's kind of bridging the gap between the academy
And he's doing a good
and the
job,
first
I
team.
think.
And if you look at it that way, he's actually doing a pretty good job. Whereas if you just look at bringing in an assistant manager, we've done it with Giggsy. He had no.
He won't be an
credentials
assistant
to do
manager
that.
though.
Yeah, he probably won't be the assistant, but then
He'll come in as either like an advisor or like a coach or like a striker coach or something like that.
But that's why don't create a role.
I was going to say you shoehorn in then.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
What I will say about Van Nistelrooy, what is it? 4 games he's been in charge. Obviously, won 3, drawn 1. He was a legend of Manchester United anyway, and this just strengthens it. I think the amount of fans that stayed behind today, you know, because it is, you know, we might not see him again, you know, in the dugout at Old Trafford. So he's obviously unclear about his future as well. But I would just like to say thank you very much for stepping in at this time when there's a lot of uncertainty. You know, Erik ten Hag obviously left, and I think it could have been quite easy to look at and go that Ruud van Nistelrooy's got a free hit here. It doesn't matter whether he wins, loses, draws, it's on the players, that. But I think some players have responded well. And like I say, absolute legend of United. So I thank him for steadying the ship before, obviously, it hands over to Ruben Amorim.
And his actual, to be fair to him, his actual game management today is probably the best we've seen from a coach.
It was perfect.
In the last 2 seasons.
His game management was perfect. Every sub he made, I said about 5 minutes before, like he needs to make that sub now, and not that I'm like
Started out like
not that I'm like the one to go to, but I'm saying like I agreed with everything he did today.
it's so refreshing.
That means he's amazing.
Because we've had Ten Hag, and you know that on the 60th minute, you know, he made the same changes. It just becomes so
annoying,
stale and predictable. Whereas at least Ruud with these 4 games, and now. Obviously, we're all hoping again, hopes and dreams. FC, we're hoping now that Amorim is this guy, you know, the forward-thinking coach, you know, that comes in and let's see, because obviously if he's going to play 3 at the back, it means you're going to be playing 1 less attacking player. Who's going to be the fall guy?
Well, it's time for Man of the Match.
Best magic moment.
Yeah, we're going to do that as well. So, Man of the Match, Tul.
Obviously, Bruno's goals. I know Bruno's goals were. I know the first one was fantastic, but I was just absolutely blown away by Manuel Ugarte today, and I can't not give it him.
Tul spoken, Kev.
I like that, but I'll go against you, Tul. I'll go with Bruno. 250 appearances as well, wasn't it, today for United? So not that should be any thingy to give him kind of man of the match, but definitely back somewhere towards his best.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Go on, go on.
I thought you were going to carry on speaking. Yeah, realistically, it is. I would say it is Ugarte, but just the Bruno team, 50 games, the technically 2 goals. I'm still going with Ugarte.
Yeah,
You've overruled me.
The whole midfield I thought was good today, honestly. And when have you said that in recent times as a United fan? Honestly,
It's actually refreshing that there's probably. I think you could mention Casemiro in that argument. I thought De Ligt was really good. Mazraoui is just like steady. You know, he's doing this every single game.
De Ligt's a great shout. I thought De Ligt,
But it's nice to have 4 or 5 players in your team.
Yeah, I could do a top 3 or a top 5 today because, like you said, Mazraoui. I thought Ahmad.
In the dark days
game.
when we were getting, when we're getting beat, we were looking and literally every single player was off it. But now we've got 5 or 6 players doing it, which is good.
Even when we played PAOK midweek, the only person I could say deserved any
Ahmad
sort of
by
recognition
far.
was Ahmad. So it's good today that most of the team, apart from the front line again, apart from Ahmad, were performing. So that's good to see. I'm going to go with Ugarte as well. As much as I love Bruno and I thought he was good, I think I'm moving it Ugarte because I think he's come through a lot of criticism and breaking the record for most tackles in a game for a Man United player.
That's crazy.
That's insane.
Since what year was that since?
It's since data records.
Probably early 2000s, something like that.
That's still crazy.
It's big achievement. Magic moment. Anyone pick anything out? I've got one.
I'm gonna give it to Ahmad's flick to Bruno.
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking.
Yeah.
That whole goal actually. I'm gonna give it that whole goal, the flick and the shot as well. That's a good shot.
I agree.
I've got.
Yeah, that's lovely.
I've got 2, so if you want, we can share them, Kev.
Go on.
If you're stuck. I've got Ugarte's ball to Garnacho when Garnacho should have scored. I've also got just a little before Garnacho scored, just that 30 seconds of Christian Eriksen. It was just unbelievable.
Oh my goodness! You know what you've been at? You've been having a magic moment. Haven't you? Because that no look pass.
Well,
just
a little entire 30 seconds. He was at the other end of the pitch and he was getting the ball off the centre backs and knocking it between the centre back and the full back, keeping the ball in a dead tight space. And then I think it was first time pass, boom, straight through everybody, and we're in midfield, breaking through on goal. And when Garnacho scored, I didn't shout Garnacho, I shouted Eriksen. I was just going Eriksen. So yeah, that's my magic moment.
Well, I'll mix it up then. I'll say Garnacho running from the halfway line, getting into the box, stopping the ball, then knocking it against his other foot and putting it out for a goal kick.
That's tragic moment, mate. You got to mix it up.
Magic moment. To be fair, could have been his goal. It was a banger, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's true. We completely overlooked it, haven't we?
That was mad though.
I was obviously being facetious then as well.
No, we know, Kev. I was watching it. When I was watching it, I was like, what on earth has just happened? But yeah, there we are.
Silence of haters, man.
Last fans forum of the Ruud van Nistelrooy interim manager era.
The new era coming.
We've actually had some decent results. It's been good, guys. It's been good.
They've really spoiled us. Ahmad starting. What's going on?
And I cannot wait.
Man.
Cannot wait for all of the reactions and match reactions after Ruben Amorim's first game at United. It's going to be.
We're going to smash it. It's
going to be
like 7-0.
They beat Spurs today.
Yeah.
Don't say that. Don't say that. I'm just excited to see a new system. I'm excited to see a new system.
Yeah.
But
Me
look,
too.
watch him literally just play like the same style, like the same formation. I'll literally be banging my head against a brick wall. No, I think he'll stick to his sporting ways. But let's see.
Yeah.
Mordzs, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Kev, thank you.
Thank you very much. Enjoyed that.
Love
Nice
it. You've
one.
got to work on your impression.
Which one?
The
Hey,
whatever
brother.
it's called.
Oh yeah. I'll do that. That's my homework for the evening.
Tul, great to be on a show with you. I've never on with you.
Our last show was Sheffield in April, I think.
This is what I mean. Tul, it's great
I'll speak to Ryan and
it's great to be back on with you. And yeah, it was nice win as well. Look everyone, thank you very much for all of your comments, all your super chats. We are going to go head off and now watch the rest of Arsenal Liverpool. I think Arsenal Liverpool.
No,
Arsenal Chelsea. Are they not winning 1-0 at Arsenal?
Yeah, got this allowed.
Oh, it was offside. Oh, that'd be an interesting game. Let's go over and watch that. Mark's live now on That's Football, doing the watch along to that game, so make sure you head over there. Thank you everyone for getting in the comments, all the super chats. Hit a like on the video for Ruud before you go, and we will see you on the next one.